Yeah.
I don't care how good you are in anything. You don't have discipline, you ain't nobody.
Right.
You're nothing without discipline. Because you give up under the slightest struggle without discipline.
100%.
I mean, discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it.
I spent days digging into the lives of 8 iconic boxers who once ruled the ring, but are almost unrecognizable today. We all know how their serious sweat sessions often fall apart once they leave the ring for good. But surprisingly, that's not the story with everybody, and I don't mean it in a good way.
A nightmare. It's a nightmare. Everything changed that day. That night was awful.
Well, if you don't get what I mean, stick around for number 3. I won't break it to you yet, but no one saw this twist coming. Lloyd Honeyghan.
He is the reigning WBC welterweight champion of the world, Lloyd Honeyghan.
WBC, WBA, and IBF welterweight title holder Lloyd Honeyghan, also known as the Ragamuffin Man, is best remembered for his stunning 1986 victory over the undefeated champion Donald Curry. That night, Honeyghan had only one thing in mind: finishing his opponent. He didn't for a second think about what Curry might bring to the fight. Once a British boxing hero, Honeyghan soon overtook America, asserting his dominance in the ring. Honeyghan didn't shy away from two things. One, facing off his opponent's 2 women. Yep, he sure was a ladies' man back in the 80s. The aura he radiated was magnetic that fit his title. The man was slim, muscular, and had a dynamic figure. A man who once fought the undefeated and undisputed welterweight champion of the world, Donald Curry, who wiped the floor with him nice and clean, had his career hit a rough patch due to a combination of injuries, personal issues, and a grueling fight schedule. Although he attempted a quick bounce back into the industry, and it was indeed quick, he could no longer show his fans the powerful face-offs he once did. His transformation left fans dropping their jaws, and not in a good way. The significant weight gain and loss of his athletic physique were not what they expected of him. But hey, the man etched his legacy in everyone's mind, and will never be forgotten for what he contributed to the community. Željko Mavrović, otherwise known as Zizia, was renowned for his solid form and strength. This dude always maintained his unusual hairstyle as a work of art, and you know what I mean. His mohawk could practically poke the opponent dead if his fists didn't. His discipline, raw talent, and strength on the flip side are certainly underrated. The guy has always been quite mysterious, not exactly typical for a man who punches the living soul out of people. As popular as he was, his strength didn't play on his side the night he lost the 1998 World Championship, which made a significant change in his career. Like any other boxer, Mavrović also had a tough time maintaining his physique after retiring from boxing. Once a cheater, always a cheater. I'm talking about cheating on his diet and workout regimen. Besides his look and the sharp fitness he had back then, one thing that hasn't changed over the decades is his mohawk. Trimmed or not, it has always been a massive part of his personality. He was a tough guy, more than just an emo boxer contemplating his life. Roberto Duran.
You know, when I first saw Ali, I said, yeah, that's who I wanted to be. Like, I know I wanted to be a fighter, but then I saw Roberto Duran. I said, that's who the I want to be.
Man, Duran.
I said, that's who I want to be. A mean mother. People scared to look at him. The devil.
Roberto Duran, known for throwing stone-like punches that earned him the name Hands of Stone, scared people from miles away. He had that mean, sneering face and was known for his ferocious fighting style, leaving a trail of knocked-out opponents behind him. In his prime, this guy was a beast. We're talking about a guy who could take on the best from Sugar Ray Leonard to Ken Buchanan and just tear through them with his intense aggression. People have 2 goals in a career. 1, to make a powerful entry. 2, to retire at the right time and moment. But Duran was indecisive enough to retire several times. When I say several times, he retired 4 different times in his career. He definitely missed those exits on highways, I presume. His prime was during the 70s and 80s, and his performance hasn't hit the spot ever since. A man who once looked ferocious now has a look and physique that's completely unrecognizable. The man's once hands of stone are now a long-lost memory, softened along with his physique. This stone of a man gave up his physique and career except for booze. Well, the booze certainly did him no good, leaving him looking a bit shaggy, and you know what I mean. Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. Although he wasn't widely popular in the industry, he served the best he could back in the 80s. He had some major wins, including a victory over the legendary light heavyweight champion Victor Galindez. Well, just because someone's a boxer doesn't mean they have to stay in shape forever. Yup, not my words, that's what some say. Some who get a little too comfortable with life after boxing, like some boxers having the high life. Eddie, who was once the flame in the industry, eventually lost his tough guy look and chiseled jawline to alcohol and food. Well, the grind was no more in the ring, but at the steakhouse and the club is what I see. Every boxer has their run-ins with rum. No one is to blame, but losing their whole personality to that. Well, Eddie not only had drinking problems, he was once arrested for drug possession and ended up with various legal problems. Well, now we know why he aged like fine milk. No, don't worry, his mugshots aren't publicized. You won't find them online, and neither did we. Well, the classic boxer guy had his time, although short-lived, but it was a strong and fiery one while it lasted, and you know where the retirement money went. Magomed Abdusalamov, a man who made a huge impact with his performance in the ring but went poof in no time. But unlike many other fighters, Abdusalamov had a legitimate reason, and probably one of the most heartbreaking retirements in boxing. He was a solid boxer who once had a great physique, and no, he did not go out of shape for boozy, druggy reasons. This is different, and it made his fans shed tears. Magomed retired in 2014 after losing to Perez. Well, life outside the ring, unfortunately, did not treat him right.
Salam alaikum. Mama, как ты?
Чемпиона.
Я ж там первый раз вижу. Как ты, брат? Красавчик.
А я что, говорит, разобрал, говорит.
Что, понравилось? Как ты боксировать умел бы, я его сразу положил. Красавчик. Рад тебя видеть.
He was forced to retire at such a young age due to his extreme health conditions. It's truly saddening to see a boxer who once bounced on every corner of the ring now unable to get off a wheelchair. Magomed Abdusalamov sustained severe injuries during his fight against Mike Perez on November 2nd, 2013, at Madison Square Garden. The brutal match left him with severe head pain, nausea, and facial injuries after the bout, including a broken nose, a broken hand, and extensive swelling. Well, on the bright side, he's doing comparatively well now, a dude who deserved things to turn out better. Frank Kelly Maloney. Maloney was a top boxing promoter in the 80s and 90s and famously managed British heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis, leading him to a world title in the 90s. Frank was known as a tough, no-nonsense figure, always sporting loud suits, making bold statements and fiercely supporting British boxing. Some lost their shape for various reasons, and Frank lost hers when she made her first public appearance in 2014 as a transgender woman. Yup, that's a big shift. In an industry so heavily dominated by men, this change wasn't widely received at first. But hey, everything takes time, right? Well, after Frank served enough time in boxing, she showed up on the TV series Celebrity Big Brother and was one of the contestants who bagged the highest. She also actively took part in politics. Frank is pretty much everywhere. Prince Naseem Hamed. Besides the fit-to-fat transformation, Prince Naseem Hamed has always had immense hatred among people. Well, with an ego as big as his current waistline, why would it surprise anyone? For a fighter to shine, it's not just their skills that matter, but their temperament as well. However, his style and antics were universally loved. But then, things took a turn. After losing his first and only fight to Marco Antonio Barrera in 2001, Hamed just wasn't the same. He officially retired in 2002 at the age of 28. Saying goodbye to the ring when many thought he still had some fights left. He stepped away from the sport that quickly, leaving his fans high and dry. People call him cocky for many reasons. Was that a cocky move, though? Well, his life off the ring has been, well, you see him now. It's staggering how athletes gain so much weight immediately after retiring. Hamed did have some troubles post-retirement. In 2005, he was involved in a serious car accident, which led to jail time for dangerous driving. Love him or hate him, He was one of boxing's biggest attractions, boasting a near-perfect record with 31 knockouts and 37 wins. Just never let him drive your car, though. Prichard Colón. Boxing is something you owe your life to. It gives you life and shows no remorse for taking it, either partially or completely. And so it was with Colón's life. Prichard Colón, aka Dig It, was renowned for his feisty punches and relentless face-offs. Every boxing fan knew how Colón was a rising star in the industry, only to fall off, tragically. During a match against Terrell Williams, Colón suffered repeated illegal blows to the back of his head. The blows could have been avoided, as he clearly showed signs of pain and discomfort. Yet despite this, the fight continued, eventually causing him to lose consciousness. Prichard Colón went 9 rounds before his corner decided to pull him out. The diagnosis was severe, a traumatic brain injury that left him in a coma. He was only 23 at the time and was immediately forced into medical retirement. He spent almost a year in a coma, and in cases like these, it's impossible for someone to fully return to their old self no matter how much money they pour into hospital bills. Well, that's a wrap, guys. Fighting in any form can be life-threatening. Which one of the boxers left you confused? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe for more boxing content like this.